Hello, hello.
You welcome everybody. You have landed like you often do every Tuesday at 2 p.m. MST on Ask an Agent Anything. We're glad you're here. It is where we like to create the rainbow between agents and investors and how we can work together so that we move further, faster together. My name's Corianne. I'm licensed here in Colorado, but I do most of my work as an investor, flipper, and wholesaler. And I'm here with the fabulous co-host, Renee. How's it going?
I'm excellent. It's summertime. How can it be bad, right? Some of you have been
True.
following me. The background is different than it usually is most of the time, but I'm in New York City. How can it be bad? I'm in the sister city. I live in LA, but I'm in New York. I'm so glamorous, right? I have eaten the best
Ooh,
pizza of my life and the best bagel, which is right all around the corner from where I'm staying. It's deadly.
it
I've
sounds
already gained
deadly.
5 pounds in a month living here, and I don't care, and I'm not apologetic. Anyway, I'm having the best summer. For those of you who don't know me or just know me as the co-host, my name is Renee. I've been an agent for a very long time, close to 2 decades. I can't believe I'm saying that. But hey, I'm still a student of the game. I can always be learning, and things are shifting. We know that NAR is happening. The National Association of Realtors is about to come around the corner with a historic change. And so we are here to stay in the conversation so that nobody falls off and feels left behind. And we have brought a special guest that I am so excited about, Miss Vayna. I want to say your last name correctly. Is it Jerabek?
There you go. You got it.
Oh my gosh, because I have an
Yay.
interesting last name and hardly no one ever says it correctly the first
I'll
time.
never say it.
So please introduce yourself, and then I'm going to say where we connected.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Vayna. Thank you for having me on. I am based out in Seattle. I've been a licensed agent for close to 5 years now, and I transitioned my business into wholesaling. I'm sure I'll get to why I say transition, but wholesaling for 3 years now and burr investing. So buying, holding, fixer properties. I just bought my first one last year. I'm working on my second. And so the name of the game for me is wholesaling to make the money, to buy the properties, to not have to work forever.
Love it.
Not just work forever. Girl, you got, let me say it loud for you. Okay. First of all, this young woman, I've said this earlier backstage, I see a lot of myself in you in the best sense of the word, because I follow you on Instagram. You know, we had been in a mentorship program together. We kind of maybe knew each other's name, but we just started, right? So I know we didn't have a whole lot of interaction, but I've been following you and I remembered you, and I love your story. And I just see that what you said not too long ago is that you wanted to retire, basically be financially free from real estate. Yes. By the time you're 30. Yep. And that used to be when you were in a rock and roll band, right? You had to make it by the time you're 30. Now you're trying to be financially free. I don't know. I just gave away my age. Meanwhile, you're having a conversation about financial freedom, which I was not having when I was your age. But say more about that, because I think that is just a really beautiful goal. And you seem to really not move the needle on that. Like every Instagram post is really, that's your North Star. You're like, I'm going in this direction, and anybody that wants to come with me, come along. And you share a lot of information on there, which I think is really beautiful too. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm glad that it's coming across that way. Yeah. I'm 23 now, and I started when I was 18. I skipped college. And when I was in high school, everyone was saying, go to college and get a job, right? And there was just something in me that didn't want to sit in a cubicle for 40 years. And I wanted to be able to be free in my prime, in my 20s and 30s, and just do whatever I wanted to do while I was single with no kids. And so someone said rental properties, and I was like, okay, well, I can make my way towards rental properties. What's the best way to make money and learn how to do that? Become a real estate agent. And, it was really tough as an 18, 19-year-old antisocial introvert to figure this business out and figure out how to talk to people and go find deals from people 3 times my age. But, I put my head down and figured it out. And by the time I ended my first year, I made $100,000 in my first year. I did like 14 deals here in Seattle. And I just started posting about it on TikTok, and it took off, and a lot of people were interested in, the story and being able to do it when you're young and you don't need a college degree to sell real estate and make an uncapped income. So that's what I've been speaking on ever since. And it's been a hell of a ride.
And what I love is that you bring us on that ride via Instagram. And as somebody who honestly would never call myself a senior, but I do have a 3 in front, right? So I've
Oh my
hit the
God.
30 mark and I'm not yet retired, but I'm working my way there. And for me, it's creative freedom. I'm a painter, I'm an artist, I like to be outside, all the things that you're also incorporating into your life and into your wholesale business. And I think we find a lot of people who think that way that are here. But it's an interesting kind of bridge between the agent and the wholesaler mind, and they don't kind of have that same inkling. So tell us more about, you transitioned into wholesaling, what brought you there, and did you bring your license with you?
Mhm. Yeah, it started because I mean my story of starting wholesaling is very much just I was sitting in my office cold calling, and I had seen like Thatch and Kang on Instagram talking about wholesaling, and I was like, I don't know what that is. That's weird. That's like that doesn't happen in my market. There's no way. Like, what are people doing? And I just happened to be making cold calls, calling for listings, and this guy who was a teacher at the yoga studio next to my office just happened to be listening to me cold calling, and so he stopped in and he was like, "Hey, I'm buying deals. If you're got any deals, let me know." And we just got to talking. Turns out he's connected to Thatch and he's wholesaled. And so I was like, okay, well, let me try. So I brought him a few deals that I had found off the market. And, long story short, a few months later, we closed our first one and it was an $80,000 deal. And 50% of $80,000 was not too bad. And so I was like, all right, well, screw finding listings and working with buyers and dealing with all that. If I can just find sellers off the market, connect them to investors and make the money that faster and easier, then I'll do that. And so I just, over like the 3 years that I've been doing it, this is my 4th now, I slowly transitioned. It wasn't even like a purposeful transition. It was just that I was focusing on wholesale. So that's what came. And my business slowly became, it's now 95% wholesale.
Oh my gosh.
What's the other 5%? I'm asking personally as somebody
I
who
do a little
does
bit
take a
of
listing every now and then.
So I still have my license. I'm using it. I will list wholesales that are failed, that were too high, or I'll do like a transaction for a friend. But most of my retail business, I'm actually referring out. So I don't even take the listings when they come.
Nice.
So is that,
I've
when
been
you say
transitioning to that, referrals.
is that your team? Because say more, that's how I'm seeing it online, right? So you're not just, I want to be clear for the audience, and this will be evergreen, right, on YouTube. So if you were, say, a single agent, which somebody might just see you as, and then you go, oh, I refer out. How I hear that is it's maybe a buddy in the office, but you have it a little more strategic, right? You have a team member that you're actually referring it to. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I've had a team. I've been running a team almost as long as I've been an agent. I started very, very early. It was very natural. Excuse me. So I have licensed agents, but mostly it's wholesalers on the team now. I've got about 16, 17 people now. Only 1 or 2 are really dedicated to on-market stuff. And those are the guys that have been with me since like 2020. So I refer them the listings and the buyers, and then most of the guys are cold calling. I personally haven't cold called in a couple of years now, beside like the one-off, but I got my guys, they're in the office cold calling on commission.
And they're calling sellers.
Yes, sellers only.
Okay.
How do you usually find, because obviously a lot of our audience is going to be coming from the direct to agent, and I would love to dive into your opinions there because, man, I experience it. But I'm curious.
I got opinions.
Yes, I do too, girl. Air high five. So I'm curious, where are you sourcing that type of seller, and are you only focused in Seattle?
Yeah, we do all of Western Washington. And I'm getting the information from Property Radar. We're just pulling lists of high equity owners who have been there for 20 years or more. And we're just talking to the old folks all day long and finding out their plans and making connections. We're very big on making connections and building relationships with our sellers, and really like being the service advisor versus just making an offer and moving on. We find that, we're only going to do like 30 or 35 deals this year. But because we build relationships with these sellers and their quality, they are big deals.
Mm-hmm. See, that's something that's so interesting that I really want everyone to hear, because I think, Vayna, you're going to agree with this, right? So I live in LA, you live in Seattle. We are on the West Coast, right? And the West Coast, as far as investing goes, it gets a bad rap, especially California. You know, Seattle might get lost, but we're kind of two in the same. I think your San Francisco's, I know San Francisco's kind of falling off a cliff right now, but let's just say San Francisco, LA, greater LA, and a little bit of Orange County, San Diego, and then like Seattle, because I don't really know what Portland's up to, right? They're kind of like just doing their Rose City thing. Weird. But those cities on the West Coast get a bad rap from investors. Everyone's running to the red states, you know, your Arizonas, your Floridas, your Texas. But here you're like, say more. I have so many questions, like sub questions with that. But here you are doing direct to seller. I know direct to seller, at least in LA County, is very expensive. So bridge that gap too. You know, like you said, oh, I started, but did you just take that one big check and like plunk it into marketing and mailing? Are you doing PPC? Like, what are you doing aside from these guys making the phone ring?
Yeah, I feel the same way about LA. Like, I don't know how people do it down there. It's so saturated, and it's very saturated here too. There's a lot of people trying to wholesale, but there aren't a lot of people who are actually good at it and doing good to these sellers. So our channels are, the biggest one is cold calling, just cold calling lists of high equity all day long. We use Property Radar and Call Tools Dialer 10 line. And then I love direct mail marketing. I love it because it's inbound. They're calling you when the time is right for them. I use the open letter marketing ROS postcard that sends out an offer based on their algorithm. It's very easy to send out, and there's already a price on it. And so the conversation goes very smoothly with these sellers. And then other wholesalers, I do a little bit of stuff. I've got a few realtors who send me a lot of deals. But those are the big ones. I don't do much online, and I only know one person in Washington who does a lot of deals from online, maybe two, but most of what I know is cold calling.
Wow, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And so people are literally picking up the phone. Are you leaving messages? Like, how is that all kind of coming to be? A day in the life of one of your cold callers?
They are calling my dedicated ones who are like, I just had a guy who's 19 and he did a $40,000 deal. He was in the office 8 hours a day because you're 19, you don't have much else to do. And they are using call tools. We don't do much voice messages. It's mostly quantity on the cold calls themselves. They're just ripping through the lists. Wow. We call through the list quite a few times because every time you call through, you're going to hit new people. You're going to hit the same people when they're in a better mood, etc. So we update lists like monthly. And then, we're just quantity on the calls, but then quality on the appointments we're actually taking.
And do you find that everybody's in the office with you, or are they virtual? And does that make a difference?
It's about 50-50. Most of them are at home, and some of them just prefer to be in the office environment. I don't know that it makes too much difference, and I just want them where they feel like they're going to be the most productive. Wow, some of my guys are sitting at home playing video games for 10 hours a day while having the dialer running.
Smart. Okay, let's jump into the differences that you've experienced between contacting sellers and contacting agents. And I will just say that I'm out here asking these questions for myself, and y'all that are watching that want to add questions into the comments, I suggest you do it because I'm going to be learning how this beautiful 23-year-old is kicking butt and taking names. I'm writing notes so that my business gets better. And I think one of the things that I've run into is that even being an agent with a license and talking to other agents about wholesaling, either they don't understand what's going on, they think I'm lying or cheating or doing something terrible, or it fizzles into I'm not getting the best deals. So what has been your experience in regards to that?
My experience with wholesaling through real estate agents is there are two types. There's the one who wants to get the deal done. Maybe they're a little self-serving. They want to just get their commission check and not have to do too much work. And so they're going to be on your side and they're going to work for you and they're going to close the seller for you. These are my favorites, right? I have a few agents who send me off-market stuff all the time. Like, hey, Vayna, I'm about to list this. If you can get us a cash offer, let's do that because it's easier. Then I don't have to do the work of listing the property. Number two is the one who they are half watching out for the seller, half being in their own heads and their egos of like, this person brought me a low cash offer or whatever. They're looking for off-market deals. I don't know what this is. You're trying to scam. This is BS, blah, blah. And with those agents, there are some that you can educate, right? You know this, and just explain what it is and what you're doing. And some of them who just, you won't get a deal out of at all, even though that you know from what they've said that this is good for the seller. So of course, the easy agents are easy. The tough agents, you either get them or you don't. And when we're cold calling sellers, sometimes we get referred over to their agent. And that right there is where I start to not get my hopes up, because I already know I'm going to call their agent and they're going to be like, no, we're just going to list the property.
Yeah.
You know, can't say that for every single situation, but that's just usually what it is. And those ones I just don't put much effort into, because just as much as an overpriced seller, if you have a bitchy agent, you just forget it and go on to the next, because you're spending time trying to close something with your deal fever going on that you've got, when you could be using that time to just find easier agents, easier sellers.
That is a mic drop.
I find that that's where newbies kind of get stuck the most, especially if they're going after that agent model. They don't quite know how to filter who's worth my time or who's not. And I think that then they find themselves stuck in ooh, this could be a deal. They work it for a few weeks and they're going to walk away with like maybe $2,000. And it was just, it was brain busting. You know?
Yeah, I'll tell you this much. I was approached by someone. I get approached by wholesalers a lot, people who want to be mentored and they want to learn. And I had this one guy and he's like, I'm in the same group as you guys. And there are people who are posting all the time. And Vayna, since you have Investor Lift, we can get these deals and then we can split the dispo fee for selling them. And I'm like, yeah, but after we split with that guy and then you and then me, you're going to have a way easier time just going direct to the seller yourself or finding the deal yourself and making more versus trying to make a bunch of little 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. My average fee is 30,000. And so thinking about building a dispo business and making the little checks, it makes sense. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Like quantity of small checks, it adds up. And, I do it every now and then, but I just find that focusing on the one thing and having tunnel vision on getting those big deals versus trying to pick out the low hanging fruit has been a lot more worth it for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you feel that the seller model, so this is something that I've just observed, right? So the seller model to some degree is transactional. It's probably rare or infrequent that you're going to do multiple deals with the same seller with that model versus the toting, the message is if you create relationships with agents, they're going to be bringing you more opportunity. So with the agents that are kind of your A agents, right? Does that ring true at all? Or is you just going to keep banging through these lists and it'll be transactional and you'll be done at 30 and that'll be the end of it?
It's very true that there are agents who will bring you lots of deals over time. I have agents I've done 4 or 5 deals with. It's also true that agents get lazy and they're not going to have a long shelf life all the time. And so we run both. I could go crazy on my agent outreach, but I attract a lot of people who want to learn wholesaling and just wholesalers in general. So that's what my business is I end up just working with, agent/wholesalers or wholesalers who just need help and they need their hand held through their first couple of deals. That's kind of my bread and butter of who I do deals with. But when you're building out the agent business, you're right. There's a lot of value in building those relationships. It starts with the one and then you guys liked working together. So you do a bunch more.
Corianne, you know what I like hearing? I got a little stuck on this. So maybe let me play, you can play armchair psychologist. I'm not afraid to do cold calling myself, but I love how you've attracted this talent. Do you feel that is mostly because of your social media presence, or maybe because you are younger and someone is associating with you, oh, she's the leader, but she's young and I can work with her? Because for me in my age bracket, I'm not anti-seller. I'm actually thinking about that, but I've got this thing that I don't know, maybe it's a SoCal thing, but I feel like it's Seattle, SoCal is a little bit of the same market-ish where I have to spend, $10,000, $20,000 a month just to make the phone ring. But that's not quite what I hear you saying, or are you? I don't know.
Yes. So the social media helps a lot. It really does. I'm well known just locally too, because with social media, I go to events and people come up to me and they're like, I saw your Instagram. I've seen you on TikTok. I've been following you. And it's awesome. But I also have friends who do a lot of wholesale deals and such, not because they are kind of local celebrities, because people see their names on Facebook posting deals, etc. But then just 3,000 followers, and they're just posting consistently about what they do, and they're getting deals from online. So it helps a lot because people already know who you are. They know they can trust you from your videos. And then, marketing budget wise, I don't spend a lot. When I'm not doing direct mail, I don't spend a lot on the list and the dialer. But I do believe that it's expensive in SoCal, or it can be. And I think I'd do a lot more deals if I expanded my marketing budget and I only have people onshore calling. I only have local people. I don't have VAs. I have a buddy with a business bigger than mine who does his cold calling with VAs, and he's only in Washington still and doing really well. But I think that if you're solo and you're in a really saturated market like California, the first thing that comes to my mind is door knocking. Like, you got to go door knocking to find those deals. Otherwise, you are just really big on your quantity of outreach.
Interesting. Okay. That gives you some food for thought. Because I too, like people come to me and I just have kind of steered away from just the cold calling only. But are you training people, or are they just kind of letting them rip? A little bit of training and then letting it rip?
Yes, the training is very minimal because I'll have people come to the team, and my team is generally open. Like, it's not very capped or anything. It's as simple as, like, let's just have a little chat, see if this is for you, and then here's the materials to start with us. Wow. And they'll be like, Vayna, can I come with you on an appointment? Can I come see how you talk to sellers? You can set an appointment, and then you can see how I talk to sellers. Okay. So I have a local team here, and then I also just started my coaching program last month for wholesaling.
Yeah. I'm gonna pop on that, girl. I want to
get on it. I'll send you the invite.
Yeah, please. That's amazing. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll have you as a guest speaker.
I love that. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Anyway, Corianne, I'm like learning as I go. Please jump in. Uh-oh. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I can feel myself being a little glitchy, so hang on.
Okay.
See, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I want you to talk more about that coaching program. Please give us all.
Sure. I just started last month. We have about 80 people in the group, and it's just all things wholesaling. I am coming on live 3 times a week to do skills-based training about real estate skills and sales. And then we do practicing the script and how to talk to sellers. And then there's an open Q&A call. My wholesale courses in there. My contracts are available are in there. Just everything you need to start wholesaling.
I love that. I'm going to ask a self-serving question. Would you expand to another state?
Well, I train in all the states now, but my business does very well in Washington. And I get the question all the time, right, about virtual wholesaling. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan because I don't know the other markets, but I like the evergreen state.
We lost her. She'll be back. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'm really excited about, where I'm at too. I'll do a little bit of self-serving is, I've been at this for a minute, and all that means is I'm not better than, I know what I know, but I'm also looking to expand, my knowledge. I'm kind of at that point in my life, at that point in my career, and to see who I can resonate with, right? And see what that kind of expansion looks like. I wouldn't quite pin the name on it. I wouldn't say, oh, I want a coaching company, or, oh, I want this, or I want that. I'm open to it. I'm just not maybe that specific to it, but where can I contribute on a more grand scale, with what I've learned? Because I've been coaching with Chris Voss for the last 5 years, and I coach directly with him in a small group environment, but directly with him. And the conversation is in regards to real estate. So another business coach of mine actually wrote a book with him. His name's Steve Scholl. So they just put out a book together. So it's the same kind of principles, obviously, with emotional intelligence and Chris's version of it, but as it's specific to real estate agents. So that's been a lot of fun for me. So we'll see after the show how that goes. I think Miss Corianne's coming back. She does truly live in the middle of nowhere. She is a homesteader. She's a homesteader in the state of Colorado. So she lives like 4 hours from Denver. And if you follow her on Instagram, you're going to see all her beautiful, she has goats. And I mean, her background looks like a virtual background, but it's actually her backyard. It's really incredible. And I always laugh because me living in LA, I'm like, oh God, my virtual background's like, car broken down cars. Anyway, Corianne, can you come back on? Did we get you? Kind of, sort of. I think we can hear you. Do you want to say something? Yeah.
I want to say sorry.
Oh,
Guys, my Starlink is in the mail. My life is going to change in like a week and a half. I
is
can't
it?
wait.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Mhm.
good. We've been talking about that.
It's
Yay
gonna
for
be
closed
huge.
deals. Well, we can hear you, so please chime in. I know you had a bunch of questions.
Always. So one, we definitely need to put your link to your coaching program. It sounds amazing. I'm one of the people that I learned about real estate in 2019, and I ended up with a really unfortunately piss poor coaching program before I met Jamil Damji, who taught me how to do it ethically. But I'm always interested in learning more about how I can do it better. And the way that you run your team aligns very much with what I already with my license and some other things that I want to do into my business. So thank you for bringing your insight. Talk to us about social media in general and where you would encourage investors and or agents in the investor world to start as they're on their journey of talking out loud and talking to people.
Yes, social media for wholesaling and investing. I have found a lot of success in just showing what I do and how to do it. And I think that, I only just now started the coaching program after 4 or 5 years of posting on social media. What it's done for me is that I have built my entire team off of attracting people. And what I love about it is that you can display your personality and how you like to work and your values within a 30-second video, post once a day, and you'll just have people naturally see your stuff and come to you versus trying to outreach. When I was 20, I had a wait list of like 300 people who wanted to work with me. And I would go to real estate events and they were training on recruiting and cold calling agents. I had never even heard of the concept. At those same events now, they're all teaching social media. But overall, just finding people who want to work is kind of what is the biggest audience in my mind, because there's plenty of people who are willing to work once they have the information. Most of them won't. Like they'll say like, hey, Vayna, can you mentor me? I really want to start. And then I'll give them something and then they don't do anything. But I'm looking for that 1% who is actually going to work hard. So that's what I like about social. There's a lot of benefit as well on the side of like, I get sponsorships, I do affiliate, and that's kind of like nice extra revenue streams. But as far as investing, like having people who are bringing me deals, and then the biggest one are the people who are coming to me to learn how to bring the deals, but I also get a lot of people who are actually bringing deals.
Wow. So people being other agents and other investors, and then that's kind of the inbound, as you said. And then the inbound also being because you're doing mailers essentially to the sellers, and you said they can call you in their own time. You're putting a price on there, which is probably like a Zillow-ish price, but at least it's something for them to kind of see the truth into. And then you have your team of these like young bucks out there who are just, got nothing to lose because they're 19 years old and they're ready to rock. And you are giving them some attention, you're giving them some coaching. But it sounds like ultimately, you've kissed all these frogs that come to you, your 300 people or whatever, right? And now you're like, hey, I've got 15, 16 out of the, consistent numbers that keep coming. And I'm assuming that the stick-to-itiveness is there because they're making money. But also, what do you find that's actually culture? How is it? Are the people staying? Are they not staying? I mean, if you're an open book about that, I'd love to learn like business culture to retain people that are notorious for taking and then running off a year from now. And now you're like at year one again with your training. Are people staying with you?
It's funny because I could talk about real estate teams as much as I could talk about how much I dislike agents.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of people, wholesale team. I love running a team, and there's been ups and downs, and it's grown in size and shrink in size. And ultimately, I think, the team culture is really important, and it's something I've just always had because of social media. I am attracting people who are like me, and they already align with me and what I'm talking about. And so when they come on the team, for the most part, they are already weeding themselves out if it's not for them. And so, the culture is that they are very young. My team is very young. They're like my age, like 18 to 27 is the age range of my team. And there's like 15 of us. So when we're in the office, it's like a classroom and we're just messing around and we're having fun, doing the calls together, role playing together, joking around. So the culture is great. And there is, I really appreciate my team and their loyalty because they are, they really believe in what we do here. And just like Corianne mentioned, it's the right way to do things is what we're teaching. We're not teaching how to scam sellers and rip people off. We're teaching how to build relationships and grow and actually set yourself up for success. It's one thing to just train and talk about finding the deals, but I'm checking in with them. Hey, are you buying houses? Do you have a plan? How are you financially to be able to buy? Like, I know you just did a bunch of deals. You better make sure you buy some houses, man. So the team culture is great. And a big complaint I hear from mostly real estate agent team leaders, but I think this is kind of universal, is they're not doing the work. They're slacking. I'm putting so much into my team and they're not doing anything with it. I'm paying for the marketing and no one's showing up. And that's very normal, but it's just leadership, I think. I'm not saying I'm the best leader, and I'm always learning and I love reading on the topic. But when you are leading by example and you're paving the path, then it's very easy for them to just come on and follow you.
So well said. And that's true. I hear it a lot, with Steve Scholl, the other gentleman I mentioned. He actually coaches some of the top realtors in this country, primarily out of like New York, LA-ish areas, top by numbers and also top by volume. Like, these are people selling, $20 million homes, right? You think there would be some difference or level of sophistication. Right. Maybe there is a little bit, just because that's what people assume. But let me tell you, behind the curtain, like once the kimono is open, they're all bitching and moaning about the same thing. And so you see these teams that are like 20 people deep, and the rainmaker, the leader, or the person's name on the shingle is really the one actually creating most of the deals. So the conversations in those rooms are really about, why even bother having a team? Now you're just babysitting and managing.
Exactly.
So I find it really interesting that that's what you've attracted. And I agree with you that more than likely it's because they have seen you versus just somebody who's maybe doing a lot of volume, like maybe an older person who's not so social media oriented. And now they just go, oh, they're selling $20 million homes, I think I'll go be on that team, but they're not really doing anything to generate the business. So I love that.
So much there, Renee, is very true. Like, not only do you have those guys who are doing high volume with just them and an assistant, they don't have the time to teach you, and etc. Me being younger, it's very relatable. They're not just sitting in some old guy's office. We get to have fun and relate. And then, when you have a huge team and the person at the front is doing all the work, it's good and it's bad. Like, if I see a team of 20, I already know that only 5 of them are doing actual work.
Yeah.
But
it's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much. Please, Corianne, jump in.
We're a bunch of nerds here. I love a good book. What are some of your favorite on leadership that you've read this year?
There's a good book called The Sales Acceleration Formula. And all I have to do is read a chapter, and then I get a lot of value, and I just put down the book and apply. There's a book called Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards. I have been a broken record about that book since I read it 5 years ago. And it's just one that I come back to all the time. I like the generic self-help shit, like Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's my favorite book.
Yeah.
Focusing on the important stuff. I like, those are the main ones.
Those are great. Thank you.
Yeah. I love that you said, essentially you're rereading it or coming back to it, because, we're all at different places in the day. And it's just like when the student is ready, right? You might say something, or Corianne might say something, and then I have this big aha moment because I was ready to hear it, or it's just how the person delivered it. So it's a similar thing to me when I have a book that I resonate with. I do keep going back to, because I'm probably going to, retain something I didn't see the first time. You don't need to read every book out there. Just pick a couple that resonate and go. So I love that they mentioned that.
Implement.
Yeah.
100%. We have a few good questions in the chat. I want to kick it off with Jennifer's, and then we'll circle back. I see you, Mike and Craig. I just think that Vayna is going to have great insight on Jennifer's question. Can you see it there, Renee, to click on it and bring it up for me?
Yeah. How would you structure a productive workday? That's what Jennifer's asking.
This one's fun because it's Atomic Habits, we've been hearing about that book forever, but I just picked it up because I have been reluctant to routine and habits for a long time because I'm so spontaneous and I don't want to like live by rules. But what I have found is that having a really solid morning routine and sticking to a schedule actually gives you the freedom to not work till 9 p.m. and be on and off everything. So I've really dialed down my schedule in the past couple months specifically. And it starts with a really strong morning routine, just doing something for yourself and spending the time to plan the day and get everything you need to do in the schedule. But my days, I'll go to the gym in the morning. I will do some social media videos. I'll film some videos by like 8 a.m. is when I'm in the office. And then 9 a.m., I usually have some trainings to do. I'm coaching people. I'm coaching the academy. And then I take lunch. And then in the afternoon, I'm doing seller appointments, or I am filming more videos and checking on deals. And then I try to get off work like 5-ish.
Okay.
But I think it starts with like
Beautiful.
building really strong habits that you're doing every day. I think that's the key.
That's it. Beautiful.
Girl,
All right.
I feel you. As an artist, that was the same thing I was sitting on all the time. I was like, I'm spontaneous, I'm fun. But as soon as I started saying, like, these are the things that have to be hit at these specific times, everything else could be more spontaneous and fun. And then all of a sudden you find me on Monday at the lake because I can. And that's
Oh, yeah, I will absolutely take a Monday off. The hard part are the weekends, because when the weekend finally comes, I don't work weekends. And so usually, or in the past, I'd be like, this is my day off. I'm not supposed to do anything. But when I actually commit to like waking up at 8 and getting a workout in, my weekends are actually a lot longer because I now have the day versus like showering at 3 and then maybe doing something after that. And so just having structure even on the weekends, actually, I get a lot more freedom to relax.
You know, that's interesting you're saying that, because I have allowed myself in my New York tour to kind of get off a schedule, and I'm not apologizing about it, but why I'm bringing it up is because about a month has gone by and I'm not particularly on a schedule. And, you know, I've had some other stuff. I've had some family things, whatever, but I can really see where that has not set me up or set my day up as powerfully. It's not like I'm not doing anything, but it's all about me, right? It's like, I don't feel as empowered in my day because I think it's about integrity. You know, I said I was out to do something and then I didn't do it, but I've been on such a trajectory of having a schedule that when I went off the schedule, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm a fish out of water. So it's almost like the pendulum swung. You know, I'm allowed to go on vacation and have some time off, but it's like, you got to kind of watch, and it's always about boundaries and standards and commitments. And when you're off, be off. That's what I heard. You know, you're like, I don't work weekends. And you said it emphatically. You know, so for the audience, like, really listen to that, you know, and set yourself up powerfully for that. So when you're off, you're off. And when you're not, you're not. And I've had to learn that kind of on this tour. I mean, even at, you know, where I'm at in my life, I'm like, whoa, what? Like, take time off. What? You know, so yeah, it's powerful.
I have definitely learned the hard way and trained myself now to keep my commitments to myself. I've had a lot of struggle with low confidence and imposter syndrome. But, you know, doing those hard things is what builds your self-esteem. And so as simple as keeping the promise that I made that I was going to wake up at 5:30 and get to the gym and and get in bed by 10 p.m., those are the little things that compound to make you feel good about yourself and your day and stay, to answer the question, productive.
Right. Beautiful. All right.
And if you're not keeping those things, you lose trust in yourself, and then it just spirals down and down. Such a good tip. Thank you so much. Can we jump over to Mike, if you'll pull up his question? I would do it, but I'm just trying to keep my internet focused on me being here. Pull up Mike, and then will you give just an explanation of what Astroblaster is and its technique? Because I wouldn't expect Vayna to be aware of it.
Yeah, so Astroblaster is a CRM, or customer relationship management system. I don't know quite, you know, it's such a specific question, but I'm going to make it a general question. Is, you know, how important is it for you and your team to have a customer relationship management system?
Sure. Our CRM is very simple. I give them the option of which one they want to choose. And we have customized some Google Sheets to make it really intuitive and user-friendly, while keeping everything top of mind. So as simple as Google Sheets is what we use. I like Follow Up Boss. I don't know what, I'm not familiar with Astro Blaster, and maybe you guys can answer the question, but the CRM, it's really powerful when you are plugged into it and doing what it does, but it's not going to do anything for you, right? Unless you have something that's SMS enabled and it's sending emails and everything, which is great and it's very advanced. But for us especially, I personally suck at follow-up. I'm very driver personality, and so I just don't do it. And there are a lot of times where I have a direct lead, but I just pass it off to someone else because I know that I'm not going to follow up. And I just say, hey, take care of this person. Let me know when they're ready. So I'm the wrong person to ask is the answer.
Well, and the answer
That's helpful though.
Yeah, know your strengths. You just said it, pass it off, right? So there's nothing wrong with, quote unquote, passing it off to somebody that will take care of that person. You answered it. Yeah.
I'll get a little more niche for Mike because I want to kind of support him and what's going on in his business. With Astro Blaster, the CRM is specifically built to text agents to bring in possible wholesale deals. So we've already talked here about Vayna's preference on going direct to seller and not going to agent. Am I still here? Sorry, guys.
Yep. Say it again, though. Say that last sentence.
Okay. So we already know Vayna is not into going direct to agent. There's a lot of frustration that comes from and sellers. So I think her answer in this situation would be, I go direct to seller. I wouldn't use something like Astro Blaster. If that's your one method of how you want to bring in deals, then it's a useful CRM.
Yeah. What I will say though on that is I have a friend who goes direct to agent in our market, and they, just because I snooped around the website a little bit and you said that it's for agent outreach, and so it's texting agents, I think it's very smart if that's your strategy, because I have a guy who texts me every so often and it's, hey, do you have any deals in the pipeline, blah, blah. And it's genius because I know on my side as a wholesaler, when my investors text me, I have sold many a deal because my investor that I forgot who it was just happened to text me on the right day when I got a deal. So I think there is a lot of value in that type of outreach. And I'm sure that it's a good program when the man who wrote the book created it.
And I'll say too, is just the fortune, a couple of adages, two of them. One is the fortune is in the follow-up, however you're doing it. You must continue to talk to people. This is a relationship-based business, is a people business. We haven't yet been replaced. So please don't ever forget that and ping on people. I mean, just as of recent, like you said, Vayna, I had an agent say, you've been texting me and I haven't had anything. So just because people are silent or they're not replying to you doesn't mean that they aren't getting it. And anymore, a text message is less than a penny. So you might as well keep at it. And if somebody doesn't reply to you in a year, then maybe give them a call. And after that, maybe take them out. That's your decision. Number two is a business coach of mine since the very beginning, a million years ago, said, what is the best CRM? It's the one you're going to use.
There you go.
So respectfully to Astro Blaster, yes, it's convenient, but just stink and use it. Because you've got to talk to people. Okay, so now we've got Mr. Craig says, what is easier, to wholesale on or off market deals?
That's a great question. I think we can go all day on this one.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes.
Right. It is. And it's also, what is a deal?
And I think the answer is market specific. Like every market is going to function a little differently. In Colorado, it is much harder to sell an on market than it is an off market because the buyer populace flipping are licensed. So you bring an on market to them, and if you don't have enough spread in that to show that you're bringing value, then they're immediately going to feel like an ego hit, which is why off market is so much easier in Colorado. But take it from there, ladies.
And I want to ask you too, Vayna, because for me, wholesaling was always a verb, not a noun. It's become a noun, like a wholesaler, right? But wholesaling, I mean, you can wholesale anything. You can wholesale a car, right? You're just taking an item And in this case, a house with a contract, and you're flipping a contract. In essence, that's a wholesaling. Where it's become synonymous is also like fix and flip properties, right? So the most distressed or dilapidated property on the street, that's typically what a wholesaler, as a noun, right? A person who's looking for that contract is looking for. Now, in my world, at least in the California, Southern California market, it's not that wholesaling doesn't work. It's just really a forced appreciation market. So what I've done is I'm looking at ready to issues, RTIs, small lot developments, tear downs, repurposing. We have something in California called SB8 and SB9. It's basically a value add. You can convert a garage and actually have a separate address. So it's a single family home zoned neighborhood, but you can almost turn your property into a duplex, things like, urban infill, all this, which I know Seattle has a version of that. So are you doing that, or are you just myopic? Like, let me find the dirtiest house and fix and flip it, basically, as a wholesaler?
Yes, my buy box, the goal is always to buy something, but my buy box is just so small that if I only looked for that, I'd be broke. So, that's where my time and my day is important, because I can find myself getting lost in the wholesaling for, a month or two, and I haven't even thought about looking for something to buy. And my mindset is really that something's just going to come through the wholesale pipeline for me to buy, because as much as I don't want to wholesale with agents, I also don't want to buy from agents. Like, that's even worse in my head. And nothing against them per se, but it's, to me, it's tunnel vision on one thing, and that's fixer properties. So within that, everything kind of just coexists.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, and there's no real answer to what's easier to wholesale. If it's a good deal, it's easy to wholesale no matter where it came from.
Amazing. And I would say,
the only thing that was a quotable.
The only thing that's easier about on-market deals is that there's professional photos already, which isn't even the case most of the time. If it's a fixer, sometimes those damn agents put iPhone photos on the listing.
I may or may not have been done that in my career. The verdict is not out. I know, because the house is so dilapidated. Oh my gosh. This is empowering. Can I ask one more question about your team? Mm-hmm. So tell me, can you walk through what is it actually? This is a logistics question. So you said you have your team. You said you kind of teach them, but not really. It doesn't even sound like you have videos or Loom videos or SOPs, standard operating principles. You're just kind of like, go. You're young, like here's, and then you're, on the court with it because you're doing some training through the week. But what is it really like? Like, if I were on your team, what would my expectations be? I mean, 16 people's a lot. Are you guys doing that? You said only 30 deals, but they must be big spreads. Like, what does that look like? What's my expectation if I'm on Vayna's team?
Well, I will say I got some back end stuff. I've got a little bit of administrative end, a couple startup videos and a manual and all that. But really, the expectation is 50 contacts a day, and I don't care what else you do. I want you to practice your script. I want you to get it memorized. I want you to be really good on the phone. Most of our training is focused on getting their talk tracks together and being able to communicate with the sellers with empathy and understanding and problem solving. That is the biggest thing, because these guys are young. They're fresh out of high school. They don't know much about sales. So that's what we train on the most. And, you're on the calls 2-3 times a week. You're texting me your leads, and we're looking at them together. We're getting on Zoom calls and analyzing your deals so that you can understand what they look like. We're going to the appointments together. We're showing the properties to investors together. So it's highly interactive, but, you're only doing a few when you're new in a year, for the average. And so you're mostly just you're prospecting, going for those 50 contacts a day, and contacts are conversations with homeowners.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting in terms of developing a team, because on one hand, you almost, maybe not you personally, but I'm thinking even of myself or maybe Corianne, it's like, maybe who's out there, like somebody who's been a stay-at-home mom, somebody who's maybe career changing, somebody who's maybe in retirement, right? So they're on the other side of it. They have a lot of knowledge and information, but maybe they don't have the time to do it. Like, they can't just make $40,000 a year or whatever. I'm assuming it might be, right? Like,
yeah, my demographic is young people who have nothing else to do, but I have a few, one-offs. And I've got people who are, they're not present all the time, but they are they have communities and networks. So they show up for training to understand what it is. And then they go into their networks and they go about their lives. And then when they find people, they bring them in. So it's kind of like a side for them. I've got a few lenders. I've got some single moms, just people who can't really commit because they've got other shit going on. They're not the ones I spend a lot of time on, right? Because the people who are bringing in the deals regularly are the ones who are, the best use of the time. But I do have the people, since the onboarding isn't anything crazy, all you need to do is understand wholesaling and how to talk to sellers. So when you have a big referral network, I will absolutely train you because I know that you can bring in deals.
Amazing. Okay. That's giving me a lot of food for thought, because you may or may not want to answer this question, but of, say, the 16 people, is it maybe just a smaller group that's actually your full timers? And should people mostly maybe concentrate on that at first? Like, I got to get me 1 to 4 solid people. Is that really the focus? And then everyone else you can kind of.
Right. And that's, when it's a good question, because when, people ask me how big my team is, I have the floaters, I have the people who are dedicated, and there's like 8 or 9 who are actually dedicated. And then the rest are, respectfully, they're good for 1 or 2 deals a year. And a lot of them are like friends and connections and whatnot. But when you are starting a team, and it's hard, because if you are someone who wants to have an in-house team, it's hard to find the people, and it's hard to train them, and it's hard to deal with the turnover if you haven't done it before. So I don't know a ton of other people who have a big in-house team, especially in the wholesaling world. So I don't know. My advice is to, start small with like a mentee or 2, and then kind of expand from there.
That's good advice. Oh my God, Corianne. Oh, my head. It's so good. I love this. Oh, this is so good.
Yeah, I found
Vayna, I want to have you back when I'm not on a lag, because the questions are better than my internet, and you are just a fantastic light that I think more people probably want to be around and learn from. So any way that we can benefit you, Ask an Agent Anything, believe me, let's have another chat, because I'm all about it. But I think one of the things that I want to bring up that you pointed out, but I really just want to hang on for our audience, is that the aspect of putting your face out there and putting it on social media about what you're already doing on the daily is gaining you trust before somebody's ever met you or talked to you or been on the phone with you. That is invaluable.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. So it's reminding me and us, Miss Corianne, to double down on that. It's easy, like the day goes by and you're like, dang, I didn't do it. It's like mañana time. I'll do it tomorrow. And bespoke, right? Like a suit, like a men's suit, right? It speaks before you speak. Like that to me is what the power of social media can be. And you are witness to that here. You're like, yes, you're a very smart person. I'm sure without social media, you'd be, rocking and rolling, but it sounds like it's just like the wind beneath your wings. You're like, I do this every day. I love it. And now you can't not do it because it's so much a part of what's bringing you value. So amazing. Good for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Make sure you go follow her, please. She's giving you her handle right under her beautiful face. Go like and follow her and learn, because there's a lot of good content on there. What I'm taking away is a reminder that I have to be better at my own content for my business. And then I'm going to read this book, Captivate. What are you taking away, Renee?
Oh my gosh, my brain. I think I'm taking away, yes, more to be seen more consistently, because I'm pretty good at getting out there and being a leader, but allowing that leadership to shine and having the faith, that it'll come back. And I heard that from you. And I also had an experience yesterday of someone randomly cold calling me, finding my phone number and cold calling my actual cell phone number, saying, I saw you on social media and I like what you're up to. And that was like kind of proof of, it's no ego involved. It was like proof of, God, I'm out here. Am I just like farting in the wind and no one's saying anything? But all of a sudden I get a phone call of this person that, might be a match for what I'm up to. So thank you for that reminder, and just to have the faith, keep doing it, keep putting out the message. People are listening, and you just have to keep forging on and do good, and the universe will kind of take care of you. at best. And I love that you're kind of ragtag about it, and I mean that respectfully. Like you don't have all these massive systems in order. You're a little kind of ragtag. I'm like, well, dang, it's still working, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the other thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just go, just do it and go, and the rest will fall into place.
I appreciate that. That sounds about sums it up for me.
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. I love that. And Miss Starlink over here, amen, hallelujah. Is that coming this week?
I don't think it's going to get here until the 11th, which is really sad, but it's coming. And the goal is that I can post more on social media from these podcasts because I'm not a blurry mess. But I'm so grateful that everybody's hung on with me, as I know I'm probably lagging and making the conversation a little bit difficult. On our way out the door, Vayna, will you please take center stage and speak to the universe on what you're looking for in this? Drop your coaching link, whatever is coming to mind, in hopes that somebody can connect you and bring you what you need.
Yeah, as common as my name is, if you just put it in Google, you'll find me. My message is just about showing people how to create financial freedom. And originally it was for, young people my age, but I've just found that people of all ages have resonated with my content. And it's been really cool to watch that and be a light. And I put a lot of pressure on myself sometimes. So I really appreciate all of your kind and encouraging words. But I'll be here doing my thing. So DM me on Instagram. Let me know you came from this video. I would love to connect.
That's amazing. Miss Vayna, you and I will talk off stage. Miss Corianne, I love you deeply and dearly. And every week we are here at 1 p.m. Pacific Coast time, 2 p.m. Mountain time, because Miss Corianne is in Colorado. And we are here to support you guys in any which way, whether you're an investor, whether you're an agent, or you just have general questions. Leave some comments in there. Smash the like button. Tell you folks about this. We want to bring more value to everybody in this conversation.
Thanks, y'all. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, Vayna.
All right. Be well.